Welcome to the next frontier where imagination, innovation, technology, and new ideas come together to radically revolutionize your quality of life and to change the world around us for the better. So here I am today. I've got my beautiful, lovely movie star, rock star guest and dear friend, Cynthia Rothrock. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
I haven't seen you for like a year, so this is so weird.
I know.
But you look amazing. I know you've been on adventures around the planet, haven't you? Like, where have you been? Just what's your last month been?
Well, I just got back from Rome 2 days ago, but I guess my big adventure for this year is I trekked to Mount Everest Base Camp. So it was a 2.5-week trek. So that was pretty intense.
I saw that, like, because I went on an adventure to Tibet the year before, and then I saw you going up there, so I was like, oh, yeah, I know it. You're going to have such a great time, but I wouldn't have done the hike to Mount Everest, so that was good.
Yeah, it was a lot tougher than I anticipated, but I got through it, and
See, we're getting older, aren't we?
Well, you know what? The thing of it is, it wasn't really the physical challenge. It was the altitude because the base camp is over 19,000 feet elevation. And when you start getting up there, like you have like these major headaches and you're trying to one step, right foot, left foot. I mean,
so it was the simple stuff.
All up. And the weather was like unbearably cold. So. But the scenery was beautiful.
It wasn't snowing or anything, right? It was just
No, it
chilled.
started snowing and it was ice. And I mean, we were up there.
Oh, my God. Like when we went, because I went to Tibet and when we were up there, I mean, what an adventure. Like I've never been on it. But the altitude got to me too. They had these cans of oxygen you could buy, and I was sucking them out. And they're like, "Don't buy those. They're not good for you." And I'm like, "No, it's oxygen. That can't be bad. Just give me more oxygen," because I was getting headaches.
Yeah, well, we kept seeing signs everywhere we went. Altitude sickness kills, and our guides would give us this test to see where our oxygen levels were, and you could progressively see them get lower and lower and lower.
That's scary.
And if you hit, I think it was 50, you're out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, and before you go, you have to sign a waiver that you have $6,000 to get helicoptered off the mountain.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And you got to pay it in advance just in case.
Well, not in advance, but they just want to make sure you have a credit card with you or something that you don't get up there and say, I can't pay it.
So did you lose anybody on the trip?
We did. One person.
Really?
Yeah, one person had to get helicopter out, and they think he might have developed an ear infection.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, but he's alive.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, everybody made it.
But that was a tough question to ask. Because if you answered no, it would have gone the wrong way. The whole show would have been depressing.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you don't know, this is for everybody else. If you don't know who Cynthia Rothrock is, you've been living under a rock because Cynthia's been out here. I don't want to say when she was born. I do know. But I will say that Cynthia's a martial arts movie star. She's starred in, I used to say over 40 movies, but I'm thinking it's more like 50. Is that?
Yeah, you're probably right. It's kind of like about 50.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, like 50 martial arts movies. So I actually, I've known Cynthia for probably 4 or 5 years maybe, So 4 or 5 years, but I had to go and I had to research because I was coming in. I'm going to interview her, and this is a professional thing here, even though we may not look and sound professional. Whatever, that's just our thing. But so I had to go and research all the things, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never, I'm looking at all these movies, No Retreat, No Surrender, and I'm looking at movies that I hadn't realized. That was part 2. There was just one movie after another, and I'm looking at all these movies, and I know the first real movie that I think you starred in was with Michelle Yeoh, right?
Yes, Madam.
Is that how, is that or Yeoh?
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh. So she was the one from Crouching
Tiger,
Hidden Dragon. I always get it backwards. Yeah. But so that was the first movie you did. That was like in the 80s? Like 80?
The first movie I did was 1985.
1985.
Mm-hmm, in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, yeah. So here's the story as I've heard it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So Golden Harvest that had done, was it Return of the Dragon or they had done the big Bruce Lee movie, and I think they co-produced with the producers out here in Los Angeles, Enter the Dragon. So they did Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, and they were looking for the female Bruce Lee, and they found you.
Well, A little bit, right?
A little bit, right?
Basically, it was quite a while after they did Enter the Dragon, and I think action movies were just so popular back then that Yoon Kwai, who is actually a pretty big director and choreographer here now in the States, wanted to do this movie, and they were actually looking for a guy. And they were looking for a guy to be the new Caucasian Bruce Lee. And I was on a West Coast demonstration team, and we had, like, the guys on the team were phenomenal. And the editor of this magazine said,
Now, let me pause your story for a second. So you were on the West Coast demonstration team, and you were 5-time world karate champion?
Yeah, at that time,
In forms
I was like 3
and
years in
weapons.
a row. Forms and weapons.
Forms
yeah.
and weapons, 3 years in a row. And this was back when I was doing martial arts and I was competing at tournaments and stuff. And I know you knew my instructor, the Obosan, Owen Watson. So you knew my instructor back in the day. And so you were the superstar, and you were very young. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're doing I don't even know what they're called.
Hook swords. I was doing hook swords.
Hook swords was your
Yes.
favorite, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing all these weapons demonstrations, 5 times world karate champion, and they're looking for a Caucasian guy, and they stumble on you. And what happened?
So Ernie Reyes, who was head of the team, said, should we bring the girls down? And they said, yeah, you can bring them, but we're really looking for a guy. So we went down and we went to Heel Cho's studio in Beverly Hills. And they said, okay,
That's Tae Kwon Do, yeah?
He's Tae Kwon Do, right? They said,
Taekwondo.
do some forms, do some self-defense, do some kicks, and some weapons. And I did. And then Yoon Kwai said, let's go with the girl instead.
Oh, that's great.
So it kind of changed their minds to it, which is interesting because I always tell, people that want to get involved in film that they might be looking for something else, but if you do really good, you do have the potential to change their mind.
Yeah, for sure. And you, you can change a lot of people's minds because I've seen you're over 40, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Cynthia's over 40. But the way, her flexibility and her kicks are unlike anything that you've ever seen. You're amazing. You're amazing. Like when I got my first black belt when I was 21. I got a brown belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. You're just got promoted to what, Dan?
Seventh Dan in Tang Soo Do.
Seventh Dan in Tang Soo Do, which is
Korean.
the same Korean. That's the same style as Chuck Norris, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same style. We had actually, his teacher was my teacher's teacher.
Okay. Cool. So, but you're amazing. Like, and seventh Dan is 7th degree black belt, but all 7 Dans are not created equal. I mean, you're the real deal. You've got, if you go to what's your website? It's CynthiaRothrock.org.
Yes.
Yeah. If you go to this website and you look at some of the photos and stuff, they're amazing. Don't search too much online because I've seen some that are non-PG for children in the audience. I don't know what
well, they're not that bad,
that was. Did somebody hack your computer and put those out, or did you arrange to have it hacked and put out, or?
No, they're not.
It's not like Paris Hilton stuff.
They're not. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're just. It was kind of funny. I did 2 magazines back then, and I was always getting cast as the tomboy, the girl next door. And I just wanted to instead of playing that role, play something a little bit more mature, something that Tomb Raider or something a little sexy.
It was your Miley Cyrus stage.
So, we did these shoots, there wasn't anything, revealing on it, but they were a little sexy,
Go check them out.
It was kind of like a big thing because I was like the karate kind of tomboyish.
Now everybody's going to be looking for these photos to find out what we have to say.
Boy.
Yeah, but my favorite, like your splits and your high kicks and the stuff that you do are just phenomenal. I've always been envious of that because I studied martial arts all my life and I could never. So I thought if I ever study just kicks, it's with you. I know you're still teaching. You got your own studio at home and you're doing privates and you teach. Yeah.
Yeah, and I one of the things I do is I travel all around the world and I do seminars. So if I'm not doing film, I'm probably, traveling somewhere
Teaching.
Doing a seminar.
Yeah. And by the way, the reason here's the thing for this show. What we're doing is we're really focusing on, in the next frontier, we focus on how imagination, innovation, and technology is changing our lives and making things more available to us, opportunities more available to us than ever before. And I want to get into that because I know that innovation and technology is radically changed the movie business, and you're really on the cutting edge of that. And I want to talk about that in a second, but I really want people to get a sense of who you are and where you came from, how it was, so that then we can talk about how it is. And also how you, as you're watching this or listening to this, you can understand how you too can live your dreams in ways that are just amazing, in ways that are easier and more accessible than ever before. Yeah. So we got to the point where, so you ended up doing how many movies in Hong Kong? Because Hong Kong grabbed you first, right?
Right. I did 7 films there.
7 films. You started in 7 films in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. Then you came over to the United States and did a series of films were you signed to a producer or something, or signed?
No, when I came over, actually I had a 3-picture deal with Golden Harvest, and we shot 1 picture, which was called Above the Law, and then they said, would you like to do 2 more in Utah? And they were the China O'Briens, and I was like, yes, because I just missed home. I was in Hong Kong for 3 years, and when we did that, they became very successful in the film markets and
in the Western markets.
Yeah, in the Western markets, and I got offer after offer. So then I just stayed home and just did a bunch of films.
Why not? Why not? It's like, hey, if you can stay home and do a bunch of films, why not? And you did 30 or something like that under the new.
Well, let's see.
And then
I've
kept
done
going.
A lot more. Yeah. I mean, I did 2 films this past year too, and I have a couple slated for next year. So, it was funny. I took some time off, and because I had my daughter, that was in 1999, and then she's a teenager now, and didn't want to hang with mom, so I said,
she's a beautiful teenager.
Back
she's
to work.
Dancing. Oh, so now you're going back to work.
Yeah, so now I'm back to work.
You don't have your buddy anymore.
They get more expensive too. So.
Oh, the teenagers or the movies?
Oh, yeah, the teenagers.
The teenagers.
The movies are getting less expensive.
So I had to tell my dog when we were leaving today. I'm like, okay, I love you, and the dog's whimpering, and I'm like, I've got to go do my job so that we can feed you and keep a house over your head. And
well, I have 4 dogs.
I know. Our dogs will have to meet because I've got this big one called Morocco that's a South African Borbal, 65 pounds and 5 months old. And then,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Could be a big boy.
And then a little pug, a little white pug, yeah. So let me just, I'm doing a quick time check. You see my eyes go up there. It's not because I don't love you and love the connection that we have. It's because I want to see where we are in our hour. But in any case, so you've got all these films that you're doing. A lot of people, that's the dream. I mean, here we are. We're in Santa Monica right now, but Hollywood is here. We are. Steve Martin joked. He said they're doing this terrible experiment where they're taking little laboratory mice, putting sunglasses on them, sending them to Hollywood, telling them they're going to be movie stars. He says it's despicable. I don't stand behind it. But so many people come out here with that dream of stardom, and so really you're living the dream.
Yes, yeah, it is.
As we're, and that's pretty amazing. And a lot of people would say, myself included, that you would be the undisputed queen of martial arts movies. And I don't think there's anybody that's done more martial arts movies than you.
Yeah, not a female anyway.
Not a female, yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Probably not a male, too.
Probably not a male. No, yeah. That's true. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe Steven Seagal. He's pumping so much in video right now, but he might be coming close. But
I don't know. I think
you still gotta.
I think so. You're not talking TV shows.
So are you saying you can
movies.
beat Steven Seagal? Is that what you just said?
No,
that's what they do in media, don't they?
I know.
Yeah.
Well.
So Steven, that's a challenge.
It's funny.
From Cynthia Rothrock, she wants to take you out. Not just joking.
No, I think I've probably movie for movie have done more.
Yeah, movie for movie, you've done more. Wow, that's amazing. And by the way, Steven, that's not a challenge. That was a joke. I know his ex-wife is what's her name?
Kelly LeBrock.
Kelly LeBrock, yeah, Kelly LeBrock. She's good friends with my parents. But anyway, moving on. So this is kind of where you've come from, and I know you also at one point you had. Well, you know what? We got to take a break.
Okay.
We got to take a break. But you had somebody very famous that everybody's going to want to listen to and find out about living in your backyard and that you told me about. We're going to talk about that in a second. But right now we're going to take a break and we'll be back in a moment. So, all right. So at one point, Cynthia, you had David Carradine was living in a trailer that you had on your property. I mean, this is like the height of his fame too, isn't it?
Oh, wait, no. Not really.
Is that the, okay, okay, I told the story wrong.
Yeah. What happened is my friend Jay lived in a trailer on my property, and he was David's manager, and David had stayed there a few times with him. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so David from, of course, Kill Bill, and we've seen those movies, and so you were good friends with David, though.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've gone back. You know, I met somebody named Martin. Boy, he wrote some of the old Kung Fu series with David. He came into one of my seminars. Was it Zweiback? Came in and took a program with me. Yeah, you probably don't remember. And it's probably irrelevant anyway.
Kick it up. That's good phrase.
Kick it up. It is a good phrase. So now let's get into, so we talked about where you've come from, where you've been. And at the time, you know, when you were making movies, and not that we're done, we're just starting again. It's like we haven't even started yet. The best is yet to come, right? So as you're doing these films, there was a certain way that they were done. You had a production company that approached you. They poured the resources in to make this film that, you know, all the parties came together. Now you're in the middle of doing you've just completed a film that you've done on your own, and you've done it through a Kickstarter campaign. And this is the part that fascinates me. And when we look at this show, you know, the next frontier, where technology and innovation is changing the way that we can actualize our every dream, here you are producing yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? So can you tell me a little bit about this? What happened? Well,
first of all, I was one of the producers on a film called The Martial Art Kid, and James Wilson, Cheryl Wheeler, and Don Wilson are also producers as well. And James said, you know, I just want to do this family film with you and Don. You know, you guys are always doing this rough, tough action. You know, I want to see, you know, something. So
Don, it's Don the Dragon PG. Wilson. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they call it Don the Dragon. You're the lady dragon.
Mm-hmm. The two dragons.
The two dragons. And then you've got Cheryl Wheeler was a kickboxing champion. And James
Wilson is actually Don's first teacher, and it's his brother.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you all came together. You said, let's do this thing.
Right. And Michael Bumgarden, too. He's also the director and one of the producers and writer of The Martial Art Kid. And we basically, it was a low-budget film, and we wanted to do it ourselves.
And let me pause just for a second there, because a lot of people think, and you know, I have a lot of friends that are in the film industry. They think, boy, you just want to make the high budget films. A good friend of mine, Scott Mednick, was the co-founder of Legendary Pictures, and they do like Superman Begins, and they did Batman, and you know, they just did Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I asked him, we were talking about strategy in terms of fundraising for films. He raised over $600 million to launch Legendary Pictures. But he said now one of the things that he was doing was he had a portfolio of films that were lower budget pictures, because in order for a high budget picture to really hit it, you have to hit it out of the ballpark in order to make money. If this was your dream, if it was your aspiration to make movies or be in the film business, you know, you wanted to be the next, who are the two guys that came out that are really good friends? Ben Affleck and
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, yes. Sorry, Matt. So Ben and Matt came out and they're like, hey, we want to go make films. We're going to own our work. And I think this is the wave of the future, where people are saying, hey, let's own our work. Let's put it together ourselves. Let's not leave our fate or our destiny in the hands of somebody else. Let's take charge of this, which is essentially what you're doing. But, you know, they came out and did this. Now what Scott Mednick had mentioned to me was that the high budgets have to really hit it out of the ballpark to make it, whereas you've got this lower budget market and some of them may just go straight to DVD. That's not what you're doing. You're actually launching bigger. But that lower budget market, there's oftentimes a good business model within that. And a lot of people that have dreams don't realize that there's a structure and a business model underneath those dreams. And so because we say something's low budget does not mean that it's not worth the effort. And I think that's really, really important for everybody to understand, is that a low budget film is just a different model.
Yeah, it's also actually probably more the effort, because you don't have the luxury of getting whatever you want for money. You're kind of like on a shoestring budget, pulling in favors from people, and everybody is working at a lower rate, and just because they love the project and want to get it going.
And see, what's magic about that is that's and it's interesting because I've got some radio audiences that I reach out to, and the radio audiences are a lot of people that traditionally kind of buck the system and say, the corporations are bad, or, we're against business. But a lot of them now come into my seminars that I teach, because I teach a lot of personal development programs and how to create your life the way you want. And I ask these same audiences, how many people here are in business for yourself or want to be in business for yourself? Every single person in the room raises their hand now. So I think there's a shift in consciousness that's occurring in the world, where people are realizing that because of outsourcing and downsizing, that you got to take your destiny into your own hands, right? Which is what you're now doing. And when you do that, working on a shoestring is fantastic, because when you're on a shoestring, the mistakes are far less expensive than when you're on some big budget where things are handed to you.
You can't make mistakes.
And you can't. Yeah. It's like, okay, but even if you do, it doesn't put you under. It's like, okay, that was a mistake that I'd rather make for $50 than I would for $500,000. So you get to learn. It's such a great learning process, and I think that's valuable for everybody out there that has a dream, that wants to put structure underneath the dream. So here you are, taking your destiny into your own hands, and it can. So you were saying, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So we had a certain amount to shoot the picture, and we were shooting it in L.A. And they wanted to shoot some of it in Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Right.
And in order to do that, we needed to raise the money. So we went to Kickstarter.
Right.
And this is like one of the first times that a real action picture has been, successful in raising that amount of money.
Now, I'm curious, has anybody else done that, or is it...
I don't know exactly, but I don't think so. Not a full budget picture, and we needed $150,000 more to shoot in Florida.
That's amazing. Was it more than what you already had?
It's more than what we already had.
Okay, now did you guys put in any of your own money to do this, or?
We all contributed to Kickstarter.
You did.
Yes,
so you gave the first donations.
We had an investor that came in with a certain amount of money. Yeah, X amount of money, and we could have done the picture for that, but we would have had to stay in L.A. and we wanted it to take place. Well, actually, the producers wanted it to have a bigger feel and shoot in Florida and Detroit.
Let me push pause for a second, because you say you had an investor, and there's so many people out there that are going, I'd love to live my dreams, but, and then all the excuses come up. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't know the right people. I don't have the investors. I don't have this. I don't have that. For you, you had an investor come in. What excited your investor to be a part of your dream?
I think what it was is the script was really good, that Don and I were involved in it, and we also had, I think in this picture, the most martial artists you're ever going to see, cameos from so many people.
You had Bill Wallace in there. I had no idea.
Actually, Bill wasn't in it.
He wasn't?
He was supposed to be in it, but what happened is he was in a motorcycle accident right before he had to come, and he couldn't do it. So.
Oh, wow. Bill Superfoot Wallace, what did they clock his kicks at? There was a time, do you know? Very fast.
Yes,
very fast
that's
is the answer to that. Yeah. They call him Superfoot Wallace. Yeah. He was actually also one of the fight commentators in the first Ultimate Fighting Championship that happened. The very first UFC with, who was the other? Kathy Long. And football player, I think it was. Jim Brown, maybe?
Not sure on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So, And now this is the part that interests me. What brought that together, what brought this dream and began to put structure to it was because everybody has dreams. Mm-hmm. Everybody listening has dreams. And we're realizing that the old ways of making our dreams come true are just, because they used to, the old world was you go and you work for a corporation. And by the way, this is not to knock corporations in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of your 30-year tenure, they gave you the gold watch and they said, thank you so much. And now with outsourcing and with downsizing and all those things, that dream, that no longer is relevant. So people are going, shoot, I've got to take my destiny into my own hands, but 80% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. So now the barrier to entry, and I've said this before, the barrier to entry into business is easier than ever before because of things like what we're talking about now. But the competition is also greater than ever before. So you got to be good, but you can get good fast. And at worst, I just read, Facebook, the source of all wisdom. Today I read a quote that said it's worth really sucking at something for a while in order to become masterful. And I think we both know that. As martial artists, I mean, the first time you get in there, I don't know about you, but I sucked, I'm sure, in the very beginning.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I
sucked too.
I think you were blessed. I think you were blessed with them. But now you were saying that. So we were talking about the magic that brought this first investor to the table. Mm-hmm. And, my buddy Scott Mednick also said the same thing. He said, I said, how do you raise $600 million to launch a movie company? He said, well, Chris, he said, if we were going to go launch a movie and it was going to star Chris Howard and Scott Mednick, he said, nobody's going to give us any money. And I well, speak for yourself, buddy. But just kidding, Scott. I love you. But he said, if we sign Tom Cruise, if we get Angelina Jolie, and then you get Steven Spielberg to produce, now all of a sudden you've got a bankable team. He said, you'd have no problem getting your $100 million for that movie. So you had a track record of success. Don had a track record of success, and you began to assemble a team with a combined track record that the investor then was inspired to want to be a part of. Would you say that that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's very accurate. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then this initial investor put in X amount. Would you, if we were to quantify that, would we say would we say it's a lot? Is it, or was it a medium amount, or what would, in your mind, what would you say?
It depends on how you look at it. The budget was like under $600,000.
Yeah, the whole entire budget was under $600,000 for this movie. You can make your own movie for $600,000 rather than having to be discovered waiting tables someplace. But people go, but $600,000, I can't. I could never dream of that. But did you put any money in this movie?
I did. I didn't put in a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, basically what I did is really try to help raise it on Kickstarter. Don and I went on a major campaign. I mean, we shot videos. We had a party for people to come in.
I'm sorry you had to have a party.
Yeah, we had a big party at a law firm down in LA.
But it's funny because I want to talk about that creativity that you put into it, because I did look at the Kickstarter campaign and what you had going on there, and there was a lot of creativity that was involved there. And I always tell people that want to create your dream, it's never a question of resources. It's always a question of resourcefulness. What's your creativity in pulling things together like this? So that's very interesting to me. But you had to have the structure, you had to take action, you had to dream it up. Now, what's also relevant to me here is that the dream, to put it out there, came before the money did, didn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me ask you this: when did the commitment come? Did it come before or after the money?
Whose commitment?
Your commitment and everybody else's commitment on the team.
Oh no, we were
the project
right from the start. We were committed from the start.
You were committed.
Yeah,
we're going to make this happen, and it's just kind of deconstructing what makes a project be successful, because a lot of people get in their own way where they say, "Oh, I don't have the money, so I'm not going to do that," and that becomes the reason or excuse. But instead, what you're saying is, we had a dream, we got committed, and then we went out and we found the resources, which is essentially how it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it took a while. It wasn't easy, but if you really believe in your project and you go about it in the correct way, the correct format, and you don't give up, you just keep pushing forward and just finding whatever your project is, the right elements that's
Right.
going to work. Someone's gonna go for it, and I think it's right. Like, you can't be negative,
Right.
I'm never gonna get this. I'm never, we were a little nervous on Kickstarter that, if we didn't get close to 150,000, we would lose all the money,
Yeah,
so,
no, exactly.
and we were
That's
lucky
scary.
we raised 176,
So you surpassed it by 20,000. And we're going to talk about how you did that exactly in a moment. But right now, we got to take a break. So you're saying that if you didn't get the entire $150,000 investment on Kickstarter, you were going to lose all the money, because that's how Kickstarter works, right?
Yeah, you have to reach your goal or you don't get a penny.
You don't. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, can you go back for a moment? Who orchestrated? Because I've seen Kickstarter, I've heard about it, I've seen a lot of different people using it, but I've never used it myself yet. But there's a good reason to, because look, here you are, you've just finished the movie. But can you go back to the beginning? How did you launch that Kickstarter campaign? Was that your idea? Was it somebody else's idea?
Actually, it was James Wilson's idea, because he wanted to raise more money to make the film bigger. And basically, he didn't really know too much about Kickstarter, but he was really smart, because I think a lot of people saw that we raised the money. So everybody said, I'm going to raise some money to do an action picture.
Other people started to do it?
Yeah, well, they tried to, but you know what? It's not, you can't really just get a camera and say, hey, give me money, this is what we're going to do. And that's what a lot of people think, they're going to do. And what James did is he hired someone to tell him, look, this is how the success rate is for Kickstarter, and you got to follow this program. And if you saw our little video that we put on,
right.
it was done very professional, and I think that's what you have to do is, you have to, like I said, we did the party and we shot that.
Okay, I'm going to pause you just for a second, because I want to ask you two questions, and I apologize because I'm going to backtrack just for a second. Your first investor that came in before the Kickstarter campaign, what was the connection with that person? Was he a friend? Was he a family member? Was it somebody that was just a fan? Was it somebody that was a professional in the business that was inspired by the fact that you were bringing people together?
Well, actually, I think I could say it. It was Cheryl Wheeler. She was also one of the producers, yes, and she's also a part owner of Genesis Pure. And
Genesis Pure is the production company?
No, that's Vitamin Line and health products and stuff like that. And basically, obviously because she's, a former kickboxer, she loves martial arts as well. And she knew us all. And when she saw the project, that what the potential is to definitely make that money back, she was, into it, to go for it, because she knew that, if it's done right. And she knew James, that if James, he's going to make sure all the right ingredients are there. If it's not going to be good, he's not going to do it. Okay,
I'm going to pause you for a second again and ask you, because she said she saw the potential for making her money back. How did she see that potential? Because in a low-budget film, and which is a viable entity for anybody in the film business. That could be part of a portfolio. What Scott had shared with me before was, from an investment perspective, if you're out looking for investors, by the way, if you're an activist and you've got the dream, or if you're you just have a dream that you want to get out in the world that can help people or solve their problems or entertain people or make an impact in people's lives, or whatever it is that you want to do, and there's all sorts of ways that we can make an impact in people's lives, then you've got to put this structure, and this is what we're talking about. So Cheryl Wheeler was one of the people that was putting the project together, and she was interested in that. She had the interest, so she was willing to put some money in from the beginning.
Yeah, well, she didn't put the project together, actually.
Okay.
She came in after everything.
So you pitched it to her.
Yes,
James Wilson pitched it to Cheryl.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, did Cheryl star in the movie too?
No, she does a cameo with James in it. Really, really quick shot.
So she was the Stan Lee of the
or the Alfred
Marvel.
Hitchcock.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do my cameo appearance. Yeah. Right, okay. So then so she came in because she had an interest in the type of project that you guys were doing, and she had a love for it, which makes sense that somebody that had the resources would then come in and be a part of it. But you had the right team assembled, so she had belief in it. On a low-budget picture like that, and what gave her the confidence? Was it just the team, or did you guys have to write out projections financially and show where the money was going to come from?
Well, I think if your project is pretty good, you have to think about it, then you sell it to the world. Yeah. And if you can't recoup that back with a really good project, there's something wrong. Right. So I think that's basically, why she did it.
So it was the concept.
It was the script. Mm-hmm. It was Michael, who has directed things and wrote before, and they were quite successful as projects. Don and I together right away is going to be a good seller for martial arts. Right. The fact that we were using so many martial arts. And one of the big things with the martial art kit, it deals with anti-bullying. And we're all very strong on that. We actually have a campaign called Kicking It, kicking anti-bullying. And it gives such a good message. We had 2 kids in it. Jansen Panettiere and Catherine Newton, who have done some things. Yeah, he was in Frozen, he voiced in Frozen, and she was in...
she was in Frozen too, I think.
No? She was in...
There were like 2 of them that were in Frozen,
I can't remember. Paranormal, one of those paranormal movies, and they were quite good, so we have the teenage audience, we have the action audience.
The anti-bullying
we have the
thing,
message,
though.
The anti-bullying. I mean, that is huge. That is really, really huge. And that was one of our main messages, is to get that out to people that,
See, that's
you
what I
don't
like.
have to be bullied, and especially in this day. I mean, there's always been bullying ever since we were kids, but now it's to the point, where kids are committing suicide and
taking guns to school, all sorts of crazy stuff.
So, we're hoping that this message gets across, that, we don't tolerate bullies. That's what, one of the things that I say in the movie, like this guy comes up and he's trying to bully me, and I take him down. And,
of course you do.
He goes, "You're not a typical PTA mom, are you?" Yeah. Like, you got that right.
But that was a strong message that I read, even in the Kickstarter campaign, was that you were spreading this message of the anti-bully message, which is, I think that's fantastic. In today's day and age, that's a major issue that you're addressing. And once again, see, there's another example of how how our own personal dreams can serve a greater purpose. And I think that's magic. You'll hear me say over and over again, Walt Disney said, we don't make money, or we don't make movies to make money. We make money to make movies. So he was so, because a lot of people think that when we have this conversation, that this is a conversation about how do you make as much money as you can and be a miser. That's not what this is about. This is about living your life on purpose, living your passion, but at the same time, you're making this greater impact in the world. And the message is real. It's not a couched in message that's, I think there's many different ways to do things, but that's what impressed me about your project too, was that anti-bullying theme, which is very critical at this time, was woven into that. So I love that. So Cheryl Wheeler gets in, and then it comes time for Kickstarter, and that was James Wilson's idea again?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. James and Michael.
So see, we see that here you're putting this dream together, and it's been said that it takes teamwork to make the dream work. So you weren't doing it alone. You were doing it with this team. And tell me about, here comes Kickstarter. What's your first experience with that?
Well, I guess, Don and I were really pushing it for our fans. And what we did is we were honest in the program saying, we need your help, to make this dream of ours come true, that we promise you that, we love this project. It's going to be good. We're going to have martial arts in it. It has a good message, the anti-bullying. And what happened is this video that we did excited people. Everybody wanted to be part of it. And of course, when you do Kickstarter, you have incentives, and we had some really great incentives.
Okay, so let's break this down for a second, because for foolish people like myself, not foolish, but sorry Sorry, unconscious mind. I love you very much, and you're very smart. But anyway, so Kickstarter is, and we'll have to get the people from Kickstarter on here at some point. But so Kickstarter, you go on there, you raise money for a tangible product that's going to be produced. But you have incentives. So you and correct me because you know more about this than I do. But I went and examined what you guys were doing leading up to this. So you put different incentive points where people can contribute, and they're donating to your project, and it starts at like $5 all the way up to yours.
10,000.
Yours went up to 10,000, right? Does it go higher on Kickstarter?
No, Kickstarter has a limit. It's 10,000 per
$10,000 pledge per person.
Yeah.
So you're almost going on your own political campaign, right? It's like,
yeah, kind of.
Vote for Cynthia, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so and you gave away certain incentives with each pledge. And if you don't hit the number that you say that you need to raise for your project, then all of the incentives go away. Nobody gets their thing, and they all keep their money.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So your incentives. Can you talk a little bit about the incentives you created?
Yeah, well, it started off like a signed picture from Don or I, a copy of the DVD. That was like the bottom line, and it went all the way up. If you put in like 10 grand, you could be an executive producer, and then there were so many incentives.
And by the way, so because those things are kind of important. So like at the $5 mark, they were getting, I don't even remember.
I think it was
a list in the credits. I think it was.
Oh yeah, right. You get as a
contributor.
Contributor, yes.
Yeah. So you get a list in the credits. Then you had at the $25 mark, you got the DVD or something, and then you got the Blu-ray was the next one, and then you started getting signed pictures and signed posters and stuff, and you built all the way up to giving away your most precious asset, which is your body. No, I'm joking. No.
No, actually, Don did that. Not
Don
me,
gave his body. Yeah, that was Don. I'm sorry. Don's like, hey, we're doing
that up to Don.
No, dinner. But I mean, dinner with you.
But we had like sit next to us at the premiere. Right. Things like that. For $5,000, you would have a walk-on part in the movie.
Yeah, so you could be an extra in the movie.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a speaking role. So you had a speaking role.
Wow.
So we had about 5 people do that.
But who wouldn't do that? I mean, people coming into Hollywood and stuff, and they've got to build their resume. If you want to be an actor. I mean,
back when we were doing movies, it was so hard. You would never ever be able to do that. But now you have the opportunity to do it. So I think it's amazing.
It's pay per play.
Yeah.
You get your list in your credits, and you get your speaking role, and now you've got your footage.
Yeah, it's. These people would never have been in a film before, so it's their dream come true. When I first did my film, I never thought I was going to do a lot of films. So I was thinking, wow, someday I'll be on a poster and I could tell my kids I was in a movie.
Right.
So, that's what I thought. I'd do one movie and that would be it, So, I mean, it's something that a lot of people in their life can't say they did, that they were in a movie.
To me, that is inspiring. It's exciting.
Yeah.
I think it's just the beginning for you. I think, have you already imagined doing more and launching more in the same way? Or what are your thoughts about it after the fact?
Well, yes.
Because you funded the film.
I actually have been for about 10 years working with Marlon Shoup on doing a comic book. We have one called Sin, The Last Angel. And
that's spelled C-Y-N, not S-I-N.
No, that's not, Sin for like Cynthia. Sin. And actually, our writer has done four. We want to do graphic novels, and actually, Marlon wanted to do Kickstarter before Martial Art Kid, but we just didn't get it together. And then he wanted to do after, and I says, no, I can't write after because I pushed so hard for Martial Art Kid. I didn't want people to think, oh, okay, now give me more money. So we're going to probably do it after the new year. But that's been something that's dear to my heart as well. And Marlon's is that we want to do this comic book series.
And The Last Angel, what a great title. I love that.
Yeah, it's really good. And the story's amazing. Our writer is just so good. So it actually could go into a TV series. It could be a movie, so and Marlon is so phenomenal that he actually has it looking like me, but I'm very critical too. I'll go like, Marlon, well, wait a minute, that's not my nose, or that,
so you can actually get a nose job like that.
Oh yeah.
For far less money than you pay anyway.
So we hope to do that again. But like I said, you can't just I had friends that put things up there. Well, first of all, you have to get approved by Kickstarter.
Okay.
You have to shoot your video and give it to them.
Now that's the interesting part.
And
So
they
you guys
have to
did a
approve
demo video.
No, we did a real one. What we were going to put on. You have to show them what you're going to put on.
Okay, so did you do? Was it just could it have been done with graphics and a teaser like that, or did you have to actually?
You could do anything. No, you could.
You don't have to film clips.
That helps. I think you need.
You did that.
Well, we didn't have any film clips from the film, but what we had is about everybody's resume, what the story was about, the message.
So it's a pitch
interviewed
video.
Different people. That were excited about the project, and I think what happened was our goal was for people to look at it and say, I want to be part of it.
Right.
And that's what people wanted to do. And I don't even know how many contributors we have, but I think, you're going to have to stay for about half hour after the movie when the credits roll.
But that's all right, because we have some time to talk about it next, because we're going to break right now, and we're coming back, and we're going to talk about how you can actually get all that stuff together. Here we go. As we're saying, you had to actually win Kickstarter's approval to get your Kickstarter campaign going.
Yes, they have to approve it first.
They have to approve it. So, but I mean, that's just like going into any type of investor for a project. And this is the big point, I think, that we can get from this conversation that you and I are having, is that the dream comes first, the commitment comes first, the resources come afterwards. What it takes is your ability to sell the dream, to sell the concept. And to do that, you have to assemble the right team to make it believable, to make it credible, and to make it magnetic for the people and the resources that will then fund it and make your dream a reality. And so here but there's also the strategy that you used. And this is, so you said you hired somebody that knew about Kickstarter. Can you talk to a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think that's what a big mistake a lot of people have, because you don't know what works and what doesn't, And I mean, I don't think James hired him for the whole thing, but just basically he gave us ideas. You need to do this and this and this and edit it. So it's almost like doing a little film, because I think the more exciting you offer, your video, the more you're going to get people.
For sure.
So I think that was a big key to.
So there was a strategy. There was the master chef who'd been in the kitchen, who'd done the cooking, and you wanted to learn the recipe, and you got that master chef, and you said, "How do you do this?" See, and this is one thing that I think a lot of people miss, is that I always say, "What's it take to succeed?" Heart, spirit, and the willingness to find the right guides each step of the way. For me, heart is doing something you love, which you're obviously doing. Mm-hmm. Spirit's the willingness to fall down 4 times, get up 5. That's a warrior spirit. You got that. There's no doubt about that. Bushido. And then you've got the willingness to find the right guide. So you didn't go into it blindly, because I couldn't imagine any investor wanting to invest in something that was blindly laid out. You needed to find a guide, just like I continually find guides, just like I encourage every student I have to do that for the rest of your life. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "My strategy is to find a mentor, pass them up, find another mentor, pass them up, find another mentor, pass them up." But that's Arnold, right? That's like that predatory thing. And we love you too. Arnold actually sang you happy birthday from stage at one point, didn't he?
Yeah. And this past year I got an award from him at the Arnold Classic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, for the Hall of Fame. So it's really first martial artist.
Is he just as big as he always was?
No, I think he's not as big. He's very fit, but I don't think he's pumping it like he used to when he was in competition.
Pump it up. Okay, so
he does that, right?
Yeah, that's cool though. That's the camaraderie and the love there for people that are in a similar field. Now, Arnold's a great guy like that along those lines. He's I don't believe he's a martial artist himself, is he? But he's into the martial arts. He's a fan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously he's been in the Expendables, which is a big action picture.
So he's got to study some stuff to
Yeah, I think for in some of his pictures he had to learn a few punches or kicks here and there.
Yeah. Now they are still doing the. Hold on, I've just got to stop and ask you this question. They're doing the Expendables with women still. Is that out yet?
No, it's not out yet. I hear it's the Expendables, and it's kind of actually the writers contacted me to teach them a little bit of martial arts.
Well, so they shouldn't be contacting you to teach them. They should be contacting
exactly.
you to
and I said,
be in the movie.
I know, and they were like, "Well, what do you charge?" And I was like, "Well, do you have any pull pull to get me in that film? And they're like, well, not really, but we put a character in there as Cynthia Rothrock. So I said, okay. So I taught them a little bit. So they knew nothing about action.
Hold on a second. They put a character in the Expendables?
That's what they said. I don't know if it's, no, not in the Expendables.
In the Expendables.
Yeah, one of the characters was Cynthia Rothrock. So who knows if they'd leave it in or not. But then my agent contacted them and said, we want to get a meeting with Cynthia, with you. And they were like, well, we're only using big names, And I was like, oh, come on, really? And I think that's, that's like one of my pet peeves is like, when they did the Expendables, it's like, why wasn't I in that? Well, I couldn't even get a meeting with Stallone. And I know him. It's because I was the woman at that time doing all the action pictures.
Well, you met with him too, didn't you?
I was like, no. Well,
I thought you went to his place.
I met him to do a movie that was called The Executioner back, in the 80s, and that project never went. But
right.
I haven't seen him since, but I just thought, every time I see that movie, I was like, I should be in that. I should be in that, And it's not an ego thing. It's like, I really have the credibility, and I'm still
of course.
doing it.
You get the street cred. I mean, people.
It's like, don't hire a woman that hasn't done that, because that's what their theme was originally.
So have they started filming that one yet?
I don't know if they're doing 4. I don't know. The
no,
Expendables?
the women.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I think it's different. It's a comedy. It's not.
It would have to be with a name like that.
Yeah.
I don't mean to.
But it's a little pun thing.
Yeah.
But to say, I can't really mention the producer, but there is a big producer that is doing a tough action women's role, and I met with him, and he has written a part in for me. So I'll be in it if he does it. So I'm hoping he does it, and that would be great because that's a dream of mine to come true is to be in an A picture, which I haven't been.
Right, because it's been kind of.
Well, actually, I kind of have, but it was a real small part. I was in Eye for an Eye with Sally Field.
Yeah. So you've been doing so all of the movies, like you've been in more martial arts movies than probably anybody on the planet. 50 movies. But you'd like to do some more of these A type pictures and get in there with.
To do one at least.
Well, yeah, it's about time. I mean, Stallone's going to watch this. Arnie's going to watch this. We love you both, and
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's like one of my favorite directors.
Really, you're going to have to go goth.
I go goth. I think you do goth good. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, let's get back on topic. So we're because you're so good here. I mean, like you're the real deal. So they can't do that movie without you. Anyway, we were talking about this person that you hired because you need to have the right guides.
You do. Well, you see, the smart thing is we really didn't know what to do. So sometimes you have to invest a little bit to make your thing better.
Every business owner and every person wanting to launch a dream in the beginning, you don't know what to do. How could you know what to do? So you could figure it out through trial and error, and most people that do that never make it. Or you can go and you find the people that know how to do it. So you found this guy with Kickstarter. I'm just curious, who did you go after to teach you about how to make the Kickstarter work?
It was one of James Wilson's friends.
So he had a friend.
So I've actually never met him, but he just told him, look, this is the format that you have to follow.
Now, was it, so I don't know how much you know about this, but was it, do we know what his credibility was from a Kickstarter or what?
Yeah, I think he has been involved in other projects that went up to Kickstarter that have all been successful.
That's the key. That's what I was looking for. He had a track record, just like what it took you guys to get your first investor was your track record. So you've got this track record and the right team, and so you went after the person with the track record to show you how to do it. And therein lies the value of finding the right guides every step of the way. So Arnold Schwarzenegger was right on that. He's right on you for the Expendables. That's just amazing. That is just kidding, Arnie. I love you. So you found this guy with the right track record to teach you how to do this critical part of it, because that brought in the rest of the funding for the film.
Right, yeah. If it wasn't, we wouldn't, have like the amazing shots we had in Florida.
Do we have the ability to say that Kickstarter was more or less than the initial capital input, or is that something that we shouldn't talk about?
No. It wasn't. It was a supplement.
It was a supplement.
We still would have done the picture regardless, but it would have been a lot smaller. And like I said, the main stars and the crew traveled to Florida, and we shot in Florida for a week.
Now, for somebody that has a dream, Marky Costello's a friend of mine, and she had a television show out here called Drama Queen. And I knew her before she had that show, but when on that show, she's related to Costello from Abbott and Costello, but she teaches hosts and stuff like that. And I was in one of her classes because I'm continually expanding myself, expanding my skills. It's, and it probably came from the martial arts. You never stop.
Right.
I read a great thing about it. Said the true master is the person who does martial arts until their body no longer allows them to do it. And that's the real grandmaster, it said. And I love that.
Yeah.
But then you go to the softer stuff, right?
Then you do Tai Chi.
Now I know why Tai Chi was so valuable. Didn't get it before, but so the what was I just saying? Sometimes I do this, my brain goes too many neurons firing at once. Or it could have been, my 20s. I don't know. One or the other was the. But I was on some track of thought. Do you remember what I was saying? Or should we just change the subject completely so we can cover it up in the mask?
Well, you got that. Yeah, right.
That
what
way
we were just saying.
The audience doesn't realize what just happened. I totally forgot. We were talking about mentorship, though, and we were talking about, it'll come to me. We were talking about mentorship, finding the right guides to help you to close the gap between where you are, where you want to be, and put the project together. I did ask you if the money was supplemental.
Right, that's where we're at.
And this is where I was going. So you were telling me, because you and I used to have conversations. I mean, remember, we went hiking. Cynthia and I went hiking up in Topanga Canyon, and we got lost in Topanga Canyon, ended up on some side road.
We ended up in down by the beach.
Down by the beach somehow. Didn't come out the same way we came in. Yeah. Lost the car.
And I had to pick up my daughter.
You had to pick up your daughter at school. And we were down at a gas station or something trying to call people with a phone. Like we didn't have any. It was horrendous. Somebody had to come pick us up and drive us. It was crazy. Anyway, so we get lost without guides is the point. Anyway.
Yeah, right. Well, see, nowadays you have your GPS, right?
That's
if
right.
we would have had a GPS technology, we wouldn't have got lost.
Well, that's what this show is.
Exactly.
The next frontier is your GPS for life because we're helping you to find your way to your dreams. So when you that was pretty good connection there, not bad. There we go. So we were talking about funding a picture in today's day and age, and things are changing. People are starting home studios. So you had told me before that you could actually film a movie for what budget? You gave me a low budget that you could do a movie that was decent because of the what's it called, the CMG and all that. And what is CMG anyway? Is that
CMG, CGI?
CGI, that's it. CMG. Okay. I think that's something else, but CGI.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend.
What is CGI though?
Graphic. I know what it is. I don't. What's C?
Oh no, hold on. You know
graphic.
What it is. You would be asking.
Illustrations.
We know that it's a technical term.
But anyway, basically CGI is all the special effects.
All the graphics and special effects. We have no idea what it stands for. It's kind of like scuba. Yeah. Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
PNG.
I know scuba, but okay. Anyway, so what's the budget that somebody could actually film a picture
Well, it depends. People have done them for $50,000, $100,000. I'll tell you one thing that's really good. And speaking of technology, that a lot of people are doing is they're shooting these little videos and putting it on YouTube, on a YouTube channel, and then they go viral, and then someone sees it and says, wow, that's pretty good. Maybe I'm going to give you a little more money and invest and do that. So that's another way people's dreams is coming true as far as the industry, because they're shooting something like really great or funny, little clips, and then it just goes viral.
You mean if we put our CGI conversation up, that would make us movie stars? Well, you're already a movie star. God help me that one day.
A little more than that.
I don't know. But okay, a little more than that. That wasn't funny enough.
I think
whatever.
A little bit. Yeah.
So people are going on YouTube. I mean, and you see even like the young generation, the young kids now, with the Jonas Brothers, we're doing all their stuff on YouTube to get more attention. You look at Justin Bieber, but see, I think that things like that.
That's how Justin Bieber was found. He shot that little video
on YouTube.
Usher saw it and
they've been regretting it ever since, right? The world's been regretting. No, joking.
Well, he hasn't.
Jesse, he hasn't.
Yeah.
But poor Justin, he's the butt of so many jokes. But anyway, that's an amazing strategy, but there's strategy behind that too. And I think that's, people don't realize that now. Okay, anyway, Cynthia, I want to thank you so much for being here. We love you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm giving a big hug. We'll see you on the next episode. And until then, love deeply, shine brightly, make every day an extraordinary adventure.